It began with a sound, soft, plaintive, almost like a whisper trying to pierce the stillness of midnight. Marjorie stirred in her armchair, the Afghan slipping from her shoulders as the echo of meowing reached her ears. Outside, the wind combed through the tall pines surrounding her cottage, but it was unmistakable. The voice of a cat, calling. She set her teacup down, heart thudding with a strange urgency. Since her husband passed last winter, the nights had been too quiet. The fire crackled beside her, casting long shadows on the walls. But it couldn't push away the feeling that something waited just beyond the threshold. She shuffled to the door, one hand on her walker, the other hesitating above the handle. Another meow, clearer this time, right on the porch. A cry not just for entry but for understanding. Marjorie opened the door and froze. In the dim glow of the porch light, a cat sat trembling on the mat. A beautiful, long-haired silver tabby, soaked to the bone, its amber eyes staring straight into hers, but not with fear, with purpose. And tucked behind it, barely visible in the shadows, was something else. A bundle, a baby blanket. For one suspended breath, Marjorie couldn't move. The cat took a step back and nudged the blanket with its head. A soft noise came from within, not a meow, not the wind. A whimper. Marjorie dropped to her knees, her old bones creaking in protest. With trembling hands, she reached forward and peeled back the corner of the blanket. Inside, blinking up at her with wide, watery eyes, was a baby girl. No older than 3 months, pink-cheeked, silent now. The tabby let out a low, guttural sound, a protective growl almost, and pressed its body against the child as if shielding her from the cold. Marjorie scooped the infant into her arms, her heartbeat thundering in her chest. Her mind reeled, trying to understand who could have left a baby out here. And this cat, how had it found her? Why here? She stepped back inside, ushering the feline in with a whisper. "Come on, sweetheart. Let's get warm." As the door clicked shut, the cat padded silently after her, tail low, eyes never leaving the baby. The following morning brought the sheriff to Marjorie's door. He stood in the same spot where the cat had been hours earlier, now stamped with her hesitant footprints. She told him everything, about the meowing, the bundle, the cat that led her to the child. Sheriff Halverson listened, arms crossed, face unreadable. Then he crouched beside the porch, squinting at the melting snow. "There's tire tracks near the road. Someone stopped briefly. No footprints, though. Just the cat's." Marjorie frowned. So, she was left here, alone, except for the cat. They stood in silence, the implications settling heavy in the cold air. Inside, the tabby had curled herself protectively around the sleeping baby in a wicker basket Marjorie had lined with old quilts. The cat hadn't left her side once. "We'll take the child to social services," Halverson finally said. "But I'll tell you, Marjorie, this doesn't make a lick of sense. That cat acted like a guardian." Marjorie looked past him into the house, where the cat stirred slightly as if sensing the conversation. "No," she said softly, a decision hardening in her chest. "She's not leaving. Neither of them are." They named the baby Ella and the cat. Well, she came to be known as Whisper. Fitting, Marjorie thought, for the way she'd first made herself heard. Weeks passed. Winter began to soften its grip. Marjorie hadn't realized how deeply the silence had burrowed into her life until it was filled again, with soft baby sighs, the padding of paws, the occasional mewl that always seemed to mean more than it should. Whisper was no ordinary cat. She followed Marjorie room to room, watched Ella with unnerving intensity, and once even hissed at a stranger delivering groceries when they got too close to the crib. And her eyes, those deep, old-soul amber eyes, watched everything. Late one night, Marjorie sat beside the crib, a candle flickering on the windowsill. Ella had begun to sleep longer stretches. Whisper lay at her feet. "I don't know who you are exactly," she whispered, "but I believe you saved her life, and maybe mine too." Whisper's ears twitched, but she didn't move. And just before Marjorie blew out the candle, She could have sworn the cat blinked once, slow and knowing. 2 months later, the letter arrived. No return address, just her name, neatly printed in unfamiliar handwriting. She opened it with careful fingers. "I'm sorry, I had no choice. I knew she'd be safe with you. Whisper knew the way. Please don't try to find me. Take care of her. I named her Elena, but you can call her what you like. All that matters is she grows up loved." A mother who can't be Marjorie read it twice before folding it back with tears brimming in her eyes. Whisper sat across from her, tail curled, gaze solemn. "She knew you'd find your way here," Marjorie said, voice cracking. "She trusted you to carry her child to safety." The old woman looked toward the crib, where Elena, slept, cheeks rosy in the morning light. "I don't know what your story is, Whisper," she said, "but I know this. You're not just a cat. You're a guardian." And somewhere deep in her bones, Marjorie felt it was true. Spring brought more than blossoms that year. It brought change. Ella was growing stronger, chubbier, laughing now. Her eyes followed Whisper everywhere. The bond between them was uncanny, as if they'd always known one another. But one night, a storm rolled in fast. The kind that rattles windows and whispers old secrets through the trees. The power flickered, then died. Marjorie lit candles and gathered blankets, trying to calm Ella's frightened cries. That's when Whisper began to pace. Not with fear, with urgency. She darted to the front door, scratched twice, then ran back to the crib. Her tail was high, ears sharp. Marjorie watched her, heart thumping. "What is it, girl?" A loud crack split the night, thunder too close. Then came a knock, 3 raps, heavy, measured. Marjorie froze. No one came out here, especially not during a storm. Whisper was at the door now, her body rigid, eyes narrowed. The knock came again. She wrapped Ella close to her chest and moved to the door. With trembling hands, she opened it. A man stood there, soaked to the bone. Mid-30s, pale, holding his side like he'd been hurt. Behind him, headlights flickered from a car in the ditch. I'm sorry," he stammered. "My car skidded. I didn't know where else to go." Before Marjorie could speak, Whisper let out a growl that stopped him cold. The man looked down, startled. "That's her! That's the cat!" His name was Aaron. He sat by the fire in borrowed clothes, sipping tea with shaking hands. "She showed up at our door almost a year ago," he began. "My sister took her in. Whisper, she called her. Said the cat was special. Always knew when something was wrong." Marjorie listened. Ella sleeping once more in her arms, Whisper sitting stone still beside them. "She never told me everything," Aaron continued. "Only that she was in trouble, that there were people after her, that she had to disappear, and that if anything happened, Whisper would know what to do." He looked up at Marjorie, eyes shining. "I didn't believe her. Not until the baby was gone. Not until Whisper vanished, too." Marjorie said nothing. She didn't need to. "She saved that child," Aaron said, voice breaking. "Led her to you. And now I think she led me too." The storm outside began to ease. The fire crackled in a gentle rhythm. Whisper stood and moved toward Aaron. She sniffed his hand, then rubbed against it. Once. A benediction. Aaron exhaled. "So, what happens now?" he asked softly. Marjorie looked down at Ella, then at the cat. "We take care of each other," she said. Like Whisper always intended. And in that quiet room, something settled. Not an ending, but a beginning. Years passed. Ella grew tall, curious, kind-hearted. She loved books and trees and whispered secrets only Whisper seemed to understand. The cat never aged, not noticeably. She remained graceful, alert, her amber eyes watchful. Sometimes strangers would pass through town and swear they'd seen a silver cat watching from the hill, a shimmer of fur in the twilight. Marjorie, now older still, sat each evening by the fire. Whisper curled beside her, as always. Ella would lean her head against her shoulder and ask, "Tell me again how I came to you." And Marjorie would smile. One night long ago I heard a whisper at the door, and every time Whisper would blink once, slow, knowing.